The world as we know it had crumbled into ruin. Greed and selfishness had torn at the heart of humanity. The earth, once proud and abundant, had turned against its reckless children. The seas rose, mountains broke, and storms swept away entire nations. What remained was but a single cradle of land, Valendeya. Thousands of years later, survivors found not just refuge but transformation on this land. They forged a bond with nature so profound that it altered their very being. They became nature walkers, humans blessed with strength, grace, and harmony beyond imagining. Yet as always, some sought more. These few severed their bond, abandoning harmony for raw power. They allied themselves with the beasts of Valendeya, gaining strength so vast it eclipsed the nature walkers. But their bargain bore a terrible price. Their hearts turned cold, their emotions stripped away. They became feral, they became feared, they became beast walkers. And among them rose one whose name was whispered with dread, the Berserker. His strength was unholy, his cunning merciless. He enslaved, he crushed, he ruled by the might of his blood-stained hands. For years, hope itself seemed lost, until she appeared. A girl, born with a fire that refused to dim. Trained from childhood, hardened in spirit, fearless in battle. She gathered others to her cause, other nature walkers who shared her dream of freedom. And together they became the Eternals. Their leader, her crimson mantle blazing against the storm of war, was remembered as the Red Queen. The clash shook the land. Eternals against beast walkers. Nature's harmony against chaos incarnate. At last, the Berserker fell, and his kind were banished beyond the borders of Valendeya. And so peace returned. But peace never lasts forever. 300 years later, the land of Valendeya had flourished. For great states now stood proud. The shining capital, Iliad, the vigilant Randa, the rugged Tadu, and Arila, land of rivers, meadows, and quiet cabins among the trees. In one such cabin, nestled beside a mirror-like lake, slept a young woman whose fate would soon ripple across history. Astra, Astra, awaken, my dear. You mustn't be late on your first day. The voice was her grandmother's, urgent yet tender, carrying through the wooden walls. Astra stirred, her heart skipping at the words first day. For today marked the beginning of a dream she had held since childhood, the day she would enter the training of the eternal warriors. She dressed swiftly, her reflection revealing a girl of pale skin, raven-dark hair, and hazel eyes bright with resolve. Though young, her bearing was steady, her spirit alight. She stepped outside her home and paused. The air was crisp, the lake calm as glass. She inhaled deeply, letting the moment ground her. Ahead lay trials, perhaps danger, perhaps triumph. But first, reverence. On the path to the training grounds stood an ancient sentinel, the Tree of Ages. Its trunk rose massive and scarred, its leaves whispering with centuries of memory. The people said the souls of fallen Eternals dwelt within, guarding the land still. Astra set down her satchel and placed her palm against the bark. Her eyes closed. In that instant the world fell away. She felt the pulse of the earth, the echo of warriors long gone. And with it came memories of childhood, of nights spent at the feet of a wandering hermit who told tales beneath this very tree. Tales of the Red Queen's final battle, of courage unbroken, of the eternal bond between warrior and land. Those stories had ignited Astra's fire, and now she stood, ready to turn story into life. Her breath steadied. She lifted her satchel once more and continued. At the gates of Arila's school for warriors, crowds gathered, young men and women, faces tense with excitement and fear. Among them Astra found a familiar voice. Astra! Arms wrapped around her. It was Minosa, curly-haired, strong, eyes bright with loyalty. Her laughter rang out, easing Astra's nerves. Soon another figure approached. Laika, golden-haired, quiet, thoughtful. Astra blinked in surprise. Laika, I did not know you would come to be a warrior. Leica smiled faintly. Not a warrior, healer. I shall walk beside you both in my own way. The three clasped hands, their bond sealing their courage. Whatever lay ahead, they would face it together. The gate swung wide. The path into destiny had begun. The training grounds of Arela stretched vast before them. Stone courtyards, wooden arenas, racks of gleaming weapons, and banners fluttering in the morning breeze. The air was alive with the clamor of swords clashing. Eternal warriors from other states had come to witness the trials. The bark of instructors, the murmur of hundreds gathered with one purpose: to prove themselves worthy. Among the crowd, whispers spread quickly. Look, it's the eternal Scarsnay. From the shadows of the gates emerged a figure of legend, towering, broad-shouldered, his beard thick and worn with years of battle. His boots were cracked, his tunic plain, but his presence was thunder itself. Scarsnay, the veteran eternal, a man whose very name struck awe. He strode to the podium and raised his voice, deep as storm and steady as stone. The states of Iliad and Randa have blessed us this year with candidates beyond number, twice as many as last. Yet, here in Arela, not a single warrior has stood for the Red Queen in years. Our honor bleeds, but I have faith that greatness yet sleeps among you. Remember Sir Ixnay, Lady Vruthra. Their names blaze still, carved into history of Arela. And so may yours, if you have the courage to seize it. His gaze swept the throng, and every head lifted, every heart quickened. Today you will prove yourselves, or you will fall. He stepped down, and in his place came Sir Leon, slender, sharp-eyed, clad in black. His words cut like knives. Healers to the left, warriors to the right. Trials begin now. The healer candidates followed Lady Hermiosa, a stern woman, robes flowing, eyes keen as hawks, into a vast chamber unlike any they had seen. Its ceiling was translucent, alive with the glow of a great azure crystal. Sunlight poured through it, soft and steady, bathing the room in ethereal light. Hermiosa raised her hands. This is the healing hall. Here light is your weapon, your ally, your duty. The select crystal above magnifies the sun's gift. Without it, inexperienced candidates such as yourself would falter. With it, you shall learn. She gestured to a wilted plant placed upon a pedestal. Its leaves hung limp, brown, brittle. Your first trial is simple. Restore this to bloom. Fail and you leave. Succeed and you step forward. With calm certainty, Hermiosa closed her eyes. Runes flared green across her arms as her skin absorbed the sunlight. Leaves unfurled, blossoms bloomed violet and rose, and the hall filled with gasps. This is healing, she declared. Now, show me yours. Leica's turn came sooner than she expected. The others shifted nervously, some murmuring prayers. She stood before the plant, hands trembling, her breath caught. In her mind, the hall vanished. She was a child again, running home to greet her Naiku, the faithful beast her father had given her. Its tail wagged, ears perked until the Kayan struck, a bull-like creature, massive and merciless. Naiku fell, bleeding, its cries piercing the dusk. Leica froze, tears blurring her sight. And then light. A stranger leapt from the Kayan's back, hands glowing, runes bright. He healed the Naiku before her eyes, lifting it from death's edge. That night she swore, she too would heal. She too would bring life from the brink. Her eyes opened. The hall returned. The plant lay before her, lifeless. She reached upward toward the light. Energy coursed down, runes etching across her skin. Her hands glowed faintly green. She pressed her will into the plant. First nothing. The silence mocked her. Doubt coiled, whispering failure. But she pressed harder. A leaf twitched, then another. Slowly, painfully, the plant revived. Stems rising, color returning. A single bloom unfurling in soft purple. She gasped, sweat on her brow, but she smiled. Live. Lady Hermiosa's eyes narrowed. Not bad. Needs refinement. But you pass. Relief crashed over Laika. Her name was called among the chosen few. The others, dismissed, shuffled out in defeat. She stood taller. For the first time she believed. And so Laika took her first step upon the healer's path. One small victory. One dream closer. Meanwhile, at the warrior's arena, Sir Scarsnay stood once more, arms pointing towards his assistant Sir Leon, who held a chain. And bound by that chain, Primera, a small ape-like beast, swift as lightning, its eyes sharp, its body restless with energy. It hissed, pulled, and darted, a blur of motion. Scarsnay's voice boomed. Your first trial, a test of speed. Capture the Primera. Fail and you fail the test. Do not waste my time. Candidates shifted uneasily, eyes wide. Among the candidates stood a group of young men whose laughter rang loud and careless, cutting across the tension like a blade through cloth. Marken Slime, the tall, golden-haired son of Arila's chief, stood at their head. His blue eyes gleamed with arrogance, his posture relaxed, as though the entire trial were nothing more than a play staged for his amusement. At his side loitered Flanco, stout and sharp-eyed, and Gargus, broad-shouldered with short hair that seemed to bristle with his every word. Minosa nudged Astra. Look at them, laughing while the rest of us can scarcely breathe. I wish I had their calm. As she secretly gazed at Marken, Astra raised a brow. Calm? Rook. They are simply loud. Gargus caught the words, grinned, and elbowed Marken. Did you hear that? The pale girl thinks us fools. Marken smirked, tilting his head to glance at Astra. Not the first girl to look my way, he drawled, but the first to glare. His companions chuckled, their voices carrying. Minosa's cheeks flushed. She opened her mouth, but Astra stilled her with a look. Let them laugh. A warrior's worth is not proved with noise. But Minosa couldn't take her gaze away from Marken. Marken's smile faltered, just for a moment. He was not accustomed to indifference. Women swooned at his presence. Men envied him. Yet Astra's cool dismissal burned hotter than mockery. Before the tension could snap, Scarsnay's voice thundered through the arena. Silence! If you are here for sport, leave. If you are here for glory, stand ready. The Primera awaits, and it will not be caught by arrogance alone. Marken stiffened under the rebuke, muttering a low apology with a nod of his head. Astra, arms folded, glared in annoyance, allowing herself the faintest flicker of satisfaction. Minosa whispered urgently, Don't glare at him so. You'll make an enemy. Astra's answer was calm, almost cold. If truth angers him, he does not deserve to be here. Marken, though outwardly composed, clenched his jaw. His pride would not allow him to forget the sting of her words. And somewhere deep, beyond his smirk, a fire was lit. Thus, before a single trial had begun, rivalries had been seeded in the soil of Arila's training ground. And now, the first test for the warriors was about to begin. Among them stood Gargus and Flanco, inseparable as always, and perpetually amused. Gargus elbowed his companion with a grin. Test of speed, he says. Let's see if Sir Scarsnay's old knees can manage the first branch. Flanco stifled a laugh, leaning closer. Their snickering spread like wildfire, a few nervous recruits joining in before quickly glancing away. Scarsnay did not turn, not at first. He simply stood there, his broad back toward them, still as stone. Then, slowly, he pivoted. With a suddenness that left even the wind stunned, he moved. The laughter died instantly. A faint vibration passed through the air, subtle like a pulse in the atmosphere itself. Tiny beads of moisture began to rise from the dust, from the bark, even from the air around them. The students gasped as the vapor twisted into mist, swirling in slow, deliberate spirals toward Scarsnay's outstretched arm. His runes, etched deep into his forearms, flared blue, pulsing brighter with every breath. The mist thickened, condensing into ribbons of water that flowed toward him, wrapping around his fingers and vanishing into the glowing sigils carved in his skin. His boots struck the earth with explosive force as he leapt, a blur of motion rising toward the canopy. The Primera shrieked and darted higher, branches shaking in panic. But Scarsnay was already among them, climbing, vaulting, his great hands finding perfect holds as his runes lit faint blue across his arms. From below, the crowd gasped. It was not a man who climbed that tree. It was a storm given form. Within moments, he was level with the Primera. The creature hesitated, then darted sideways. But Scarsnay was faster. His arm shot out, steady and sure, and he caught the creature by the tail midair. He landed lightly, dust rising around him as silence fell. The Primera squirmed helplessly in his grasp, glowing runes flickering across its fur. Scarsnay glanced once toward Gargus and Flanco, a faint smirk ghosting across his face. Then Scarsnay's voice returned, steady, commanding. "You see," he said, "this is water's energy, drawn from the air itself." He turned toward the gathered recruits, his gaze softening slightly. But such absorption skills comes with years, patience you have not yet earned. He gestured toward a long stone trough by the tree, where still water shimmered faintly in the sunlight. The young candidates exchanged nervous glances. The water in the trough shimmered faintly, still touched by the resonance of Scarsnay's runes. He pointed toward it. "You candidates shall draw from it. Awaken your water runes and attain the gift of speed required to catch the Primera." A dozen stepped forward at once. The first, a tall boy with silver bracers, knelt and pressed both palms to the water. The surface rippled, then stilled. He frowned, concentrated harder, and the water rose in trembling threads. Faint light danced along his forearms. Gasps spread through the crowd. But when he turned toward the tree, the Primera shrieked and darted away. The boy leapt after it. Too fast, too forceful, a single branch snapped underfoot, and he tumbled into the dust. The light on his arms flickered out. Soon others tried, one after another. Some coaxed the water easily, their runes flaring with color, but their control crumbled the moment they climbed, failing to catch the Primera. One by one, they learned what it was to become an eternal warrior. As Valendeyans and nature walkers, everyone could commune with nature, but to become an eternal warrior, it required a lot more. And then, stepping quietly from the crowd, came a silver-haired man, Jackal. He walked to the trough, kneeling beside it. His reflection shimmered faintly in the surface, calm, unreadable. He did not thrust his hands into the water. He simply waited. He lowered one palm slowly, just above the surface. The water responded, faint ripples spreading outward, then drawing back toward him. The sunlight caught the motion, turning each ripple into a halo of light. Then the runes along his arms flared, faintly at first, then with steady rhythmic glow. He approached the tree. The Primera tensed, ready to flee. But Jackal did not chase. Astra observed his calmness. He simply stood, patient, calculating. Then, in a single smooth motion, he leapt. The air seemed to still. His blue runes flared bright as he moved, not forcing but flowing. The Primera darted higher, yet Jackal was already there, reading its path, shifting effortlessly from branch to branch. A moment of silence, then his hand closed around its tail. The courtyard erupted in cheers. Dust swirled around him as he landed, holding the creature gently, its small form wriggling but unharmed. Jackal looked up at the others, calm, humble, with his sister Jillian by his side. But before the cheers could fade, Jillian's voice rose. "Light steady. May I try next?" The crowd turned, and Jillian, Jackal's sister, stepped forward. Jillian turned to the tree, her expression radiant with confidence. She breathed once, steadying herself, then leapt. Her motion was poetry. Each step upon the bark was fluid, her blue runes blazing as if the sunlight itself had come alive around her. The Primera screeched and bolted higher, but she was faster, lighter. She reached out midair, and her hands closed around it. The sound of applause thundered through the clearing. Jackal met his sister at the base of the tree. She smiled, still breathless, holding the petite creature gently, as Jackal placed his hand on her shoulder. When the cheering for Jackal and Gillian faded, only 5 names remained untested. Markin, Gargus, Flanco, Ustra, Minosa. Scarsnay stood before them. His voice was calm, but it carried weight. 5 remain. The Primera grows restless. Show it your worth. The air was heavy now. The failures of the earlier trials still lingered in the dust. Flanco stepped forward, approaching the trough. He strolled as though heading for a tavern, humming a tune under his breath. Flanco stepped back from the trough, his arms glowing faintly. Then he took a breath and looked at the Primera atop the tree. He then leaped towards it. It was chaotic. He slipped on the bark once, cursed aloud, caught a branch at the last second, and swung awkwardly. The Primera shrieked and darted higher, clearly amused by the spectacle. Flanco scrambled up a few branches, panting, clearly losing steam. His glow flickered and he slumped against the trunk. "All right," he gasped between breaths. "You win, Furball. I yield." The courtyard burst into laughter. The Primera chirped in triumph, hopping down a few branches to gloat, puffing its tiny chest. Flanco opened one eye. The smirk returned. With sudden speed, he twisted, pushing off the branch with explosive grace. The Primera froze mid-chirp as Flanco's hand shot out, clean, precise, and closed around it. The crowd gasped. In a blur of motion, both tumbled down through the canopy, leaves spinning around them in a flurry of gold and green. Flanco landed on his feet, barely, and stumbled forward, laughing breathlessly, holding the glowing creature triumphantly in both hands. The courtyard erupted. Flanco caught his breath and bowed deeply. "My apologies for fooling everyone, but I needed to do so to trick the Primera," he said between gasps. The laughter that followed was warm, not mocking but united. Even Astra's quiet face softened, her eyes thoughtful as she studied Flanco's unorthodox success. After Flanco's unexpected win, Gargus stepped toward the trough, its surface mirroring the intensity in his eyes. The crowd grew hushed as he plunged his hands into the water. "I certainly cannot fail now. Not after Flanco has passed the trial," Gargus declared, his eyes blazing. He was unshaken. His laughter rumbled like thunder. His stride shook the dust beneath him. Markin placed a hand on his shoulder. "Don't let Flanco's luck rattle you. Remember who you are. Endurance is your gift." Gargus only grinned. "Aye, and today it shall bow to none." Blue runes surged up his arms, violent, blazing, the runes pulsing like the heart of a storm. He turned to the tree, the Primera watching him warily from above. "I shall seize you, vile creature," Gargus roared. The ground quaked beneath his first step. Branches bent under his charge. The Primera darted higher, but Gargus did not slow. His feet struck the bark in rhythmic thunder. His runes blazed like molten veins. He climbed, not with grace, but with relentless primal force. Dust and leaves spiraled around him in his ascent. The Primera's frantic movements slowed. Exhaustion set in. Gargus's sheer endurance, his unyielding pursuit, broke its rhythm, until at last, with a final roar, he reached out and caught it. The clearing erupted in awe. Flanco hooped, Jackal nodded in respect, and even Markin, stoic and unmoved, gave a subtle nod of admiration. The moment was electric. As Gargus set the Primera free, laughter and applause filled the courtyard. From among the watching students, a figure stepped forward. Minosa, radiant, her auburn hair catching the sunlight, approached with graceful confidence. "That was impressive, Gargus." Gargus blinked in surprise, then anxiously chuckled. Flanco grinned. "You're too kind. He'll be insufferable all week now." Gargus pointed a thumb at him. "At least I didn't win by tricking everyone here." The group burst into laughter. For the first time, the tension that had shadowed the trials seemed to lift. It was then that Minosa turned to the third of the trio, Markin, who had remained quiet, studying, reserved, eager to get close to Markin. Minosa's voice broke the silence. "So, Markin, can you surpass Gargus?" Markin smiled faintly. "I shall not merely surpass him. I shall redefine the standard." Minosa's face flushed with anticipation. Flanco clapped his hands. "Now that's the spirit." Astra crossed her arms, silently observing. Markin approached the trough. The air seemed to hum as he dipped his fingers into the surface, and the trough exploded in light. Runes blazed up his arms faster than sight could follow. The light dimmed. Markin raised his gaze toward the towering tree. The Primera's eyes gleamed, wary, defiant. Markin leapt. The world blurred into motion, a comet streaking upward. Branches shattered in his wake. His body moved like a ripple of wind, faster than breath, faster than thought. The Primera tried to flee, but its movements were already predicted. Every motion, every escape path. Markin saw it before it happened, and in one perfect instant he was there, hand outstretched, and the Primera was his. "He caught it in seconds," yelled the crowd. Cheers erupted, thunderous, echoing across the courtyard. Lanco laughed, Gargus grinned. Minosa's heart fluttered as her eyes glowed with admiration. Astra, reserved and composed, acknowledged his skill with a nod. "Attention, candidates. Markin of Arila has set a record, the fastest capture in our history." Scarsney roared. Applause roared like a wave. Markin bowed his head humbly, but pride gleamed in his eyes. And now only two remained, Minosa, Astra, and the trial's quiet flame still burning within them. Minosa turned to Astra. "Allow me to go next. I cannot bear the burden of going in last." Astra hesitated, then nodded. "All right, but do not be reckless." Minosa smirked. "You wound me. I am always reckless." The crowd fell still as she approached the tree. Her runes glowed, pale blue, alive with nervous energy. She ascended slowly at first, deliberate, thoughtful. Her arms moved with focus, her breath measured. But the Primera, after being caught a few times, grew wiser. It adapted, learned new tricks, and began darting ever higher into the canopy, where the branches thinned and swayed. Still, Minosa pursued without hesitation, climbing with relentless determination. At last, the Primera perched upon a branch so slender it could barely support its own tiny weight. Any misstep would send it plunging. Yet Minosa did not falter. She gathered her strength, steadied her breath, and leapt, taking a true leap of faith toward the trembling branch and the creature that challenged her. Flanco shouted, "Minosa, that's madness!" But she did not stop. She saw her chance, and she took it. A final leap, wild and fearless, her body arcing through the air. Her hands closing around the Primera. The crowd screamed. Branches snapped. Who fell? Dust exploded where she landed. Yet her hands still clutched the creature to her chest. When the dust cleared, she was kneeling, hurt yet laughing breathlessly. Gargus shouted, "By the Eternals, she did it!" Markin approached, eyes wide. "You risked your life for that." Minosa smiled. "It was worth it," she said, gleaming into his eyes. Astra couldn't hide the pride shining in her eyes, though her tone balanced admiration with reprimand. "You reckless fool. That was far too dangerous. But still," she sighed, "I suppose I have to commend your effort. Minosa, your courage borders on recklessness. You risked not only your own life but that of the Primera," said Scarsney, his voice firm and edged with disapproval. "I'll overlook it this time, given your determination and the fact that the Primera remains unharmed." She bowed her head, humbled yet glowing with pride. And now, one candidate remained. The courtyard grew silent. Astra stepped forward, gathering her long black hair into a sleek tie. Her white gown shimmered faintly in the sunlight. Even the breeze seemed to pause, uncertain whether to disturb her focus. Markin's eyes followed her every movement, unblinking. Flanco murmured to Gargus, "You ever notice how quiet she makes the world feel?" She approached the trough, placing her hands above the water. The ripples danced as if answering her thought before she moved. Soft blue light spread across her arms. Calm, steady, balanced. She looked up toward the tree. "Forgive me, little one," she whispered. "This is the last chase you shall endure." And then she leapt. It was not speed that carried her. It was wind itself. Every motion of her body mirrored the rhythm of water. She ascended like a current moving through air, her white gown trailing like mist. The Primera fled at first, but its movements soon softened, losing their desperation, as though it understood her intent. Astra's graceful ascent seemed to lull the creature into a quiet trance. Marken stepped forward, his voice low with awe. "Incredible! The Primera has already surrendered to Astra's enchantment." Minosa shot him a sideways glance, uneasy at how readily he praised Astra. She realized the Primera wasn't the only one spellbound. Then, in a heartbeat, Astra had climbed so high that she vanished into the canopy. From below, all they could see was the Primera itself, looking just as bewildered as everyone else. "Where is she? I can't see her," Flanco murmured, squinting upward. "Neither can I," Gargus added, just as lost. Driven by instinctive worry, Marken edged closer to the tree, only to be halted by Sir Scarsnay's firm hand. "Do not interfere, boy. This is her trial." From a distance, Minosa watched them. The sight of Marken's concern for Astra stirred an odd, unwelcome discomfort within her, a feeling she couldn't quite name. Then suddenly, a flash overhead, a white blur cutting through the canopy, and in the next heartbeat, Astra descended like a bird of prey, swift and breathtaking, the Primera already caught and nestled comfortably in her arms. The crowd stood frozen, utterly mesmerized. Flanco's jaw dropped, while Gargus let out a disbelieving whoop. Scarsnay, his voice booming with laughter and pride, declared, "Remarkable! 2 records in a single day. Marken and Astra. Well done." Thunderous applause erupted through the courtyard. Marken stepped toward her, nerves tightening his voice. "Congratulations, Astra. You were amazing up there," he managed, stumbling over the words. Gargus and Flanco exchanged mischievous grins, snickering at how completely Marken unraveled in her presence. She offered him a gentle, understated smile, the kind that revealed little yet conveyed far more than words. "Thank you, Marken," Astra replied, composed and perfectly diplomatic. For the first time, Marken, usually confident, usually so smooth with his words, stood speechless. She could make half the men here stumble over themselves, just as Marken did if she weren't so reserved, someone muttered with a half-laugh. Minosa knew she ought to feel happy for her friend. Yet each praise aimed at Astra, especially those from Marken, tugged at her, making that happiness hard to summon.